Struggling to attract the right talent for your law firm? It might not be your hiring process. It could be your job descriptions. In this episode, we're revealing how to write compelling, strategic job descriptions that pull the right people in and push the wrong people out. And spoiler alert, it gets a little spicy. I am your host, Tyler Dolph, CEO of our digital marketing agency, Rocket Clicks. We also own and operate a 30 attorney family law firm here in Milwaukee called Sterling Lawyers. And with me today, I have Tony Carls and JP Vanderlinden. As you may know, Tony Carls is the co-founder of our law firm, Sterling Lawyers, as well as the president of the agency, Rocket Clicks. JP is our head of operations and client service here at Rocket Clicks and heads up our entire hiring process. So he is perfect for this episode. Today, we are breaking down the 6 essential components of a smart tribe inspired job description and how family law firms can use this framework to attract top talent and build high performance cultures. I hope you enjoy it. All right, today we have a very spicy, may I say, episode talking about the 6 must-have elements in a job description. And spoiler alert, we don't agree with all of them. So, JP, I'd love for you to get us started. Let's walk through what these components are. And then, Tony, I'm hoping you have some opinions on the matter.
Yeah, so if you have a good job description, it's going to start with who your organization is. Going to talk about the mission of the organization, and then what the role's purpose is. You're going to talk about what the outcomes are that the role will create, what the role's responsible for, what skills or behaviors the person who's the right fit will have, and kind of what that person will look like, and then how they're going to be successful and grow in your firm. So those are kind of the 6 areas. We can drill into those. And then there's some science behind how do we pick those 6? We didn't just like make them up. There's a reason we picked those 6.
Let's start with the reason.
Yeah. So the basis is like if you've got a job seeker who's out looking, they're ultimately focused on a handful of key factors. Inc. did a big study a few years ago, and they kind of narrowed it into like there's 5 big important factors that candidates look for when they're considering your job versus all the other ones out there. So number 1, surprise, surprise, is salary and compensation because we work for money. Some of us are working at nonprofits, but hopefully we still get paid. Like it's salary and compensation is number 1. Number 2 is growth opportunities for their career. Number 3 is work-life balance. 4 is the location and or the commute. Are you remote? Are you an hour away? What's that going to do to their lives? And number 5 is the culture of the company and the values and the alignment. And so if you think about that's what they care about, that's what they're looking for, and your job is an advertisement to them, you want your job post to address those 5 areas that they care a lot about, which is kind of where the 6 come from.
And so I guess my only thought there is the reminder is we're not trying to hire everyone, right?
No, I think I think the danger of this is to say, how can I write this to be attractive for every potential candidate? And the reality is you don't want to be attractive to all potential candidates. You want to attract the right ones and repel the wrong ones. If you're a pro-life organization, do you think you want pro-choice people working there? Probably not. If you're a second amendment organization, do you want people to work for your organization that are against people having the right to have guns? Probably not. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Similarly, here at Rocket Clicks, I abhorred the number 3 that JP mentioned, work-life balance. I think that's a fallacy. I don't think it's true. I think it's an indicator when people really push on that they really just don't want to be a full human. They're looking for an out. They're looking for, when can I just binge watch Netflix all the time? When can I just bury myself in video games and disconnect from the world? I think it's nonsense. What we look for is, how do you live a full life? We're very intentional with our team. Everybody here has personal, professional, financial goals, and you're held accountable to all 3. not just your professional goals, but also your personal, because we know that if you're not being a great husband or being a great father or being a great wife or being a great son or daughter or brother or sister, if you're not doing all of those things, you're going to end up being an employee that isn't going to be able to fulfill the role, because something in your life is always going to break. And if you're not being intentional with all the areas of your life and investing in those areas, not looking for balance, looking for how can I aggressively invest in all the things that are important to me, and I need to identify what's important to me, we believe you're going to be a way more successful person in our organization. It's not just about, will you work 90 hours a week? That's not sustainable, because all of those roles that I just mentioned, you're going to fail at, and then you're not going to be a good team member. It's about how do you invest in all the areas that are important. It's not work-life balance. It's full life investment.
Love it. Yeah, I think what's interesting about this perspective is, for a lot of organizations who are struggling to hire may want to just bring in as many candidates as possible. But ultimately, the long-term outcome of that is not having a culture that's true to the organization, or true to the leader, or true to the owner. And so, JP, maybe you can talk us through, one by one, starting with mission and purpose. What do we do, or what have we seen that's been really successful?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, like the number one thing people care about is salary and compensation. However, there have been a number of studies which show that if you pay somebody progressively more over time to just do the same task that obviously has no value. I think the most famous example was like digging a ditch and then filling it back in. And like they would had this study where they brought a bunch of people out, dig a ditch, fill it back in, and then the next day they paid them like twice as much, but only like half as many people showed up. And every day, like they raised the pay, but people stop showing up because like this has no meaning. Like this is not doing anything beneficial for the planet, and like I'm not going to waste my heartbeats on this. And so if you're going to ask somebody to give up 40 plus hours of their week that they could be spending in all those other roles that Tony talked about, you better have something compelling to offer from a standpoint of creation for the good of society, or the personal growth and advancement. So mission and purpose, the reason you lead with that is you're trying to activate people's internal motivations to say, like, is this what you want to do? Do you want to make a difference in the world? Do you want to make a positive impact? If so, you can do it here, because we do want to get paid, but we don't want to get paid to waste our lives. That's not a good trade. We're looking for how can I get paid and also make a significant impact. So you have to lead with that mission and purpose right off the bat. Your candidates want meaning at the end of the day.
Yeah. I would say it's extraordinarily important in family law to really describe what it looks like to be a family law attorney, because you're dealing with good people at their worst, like literally at their worst, because their whole life is being torn apart. And if you don't want to deal with the erratic phone calls and the receiving the call where everything is an emergency all of the time, and you don't want to, be as much therapist as you are lawyer, you probably shouldn't practice family law, because it's going to stress you out. It's not going to be fun. You're not going to enjoy it. And I'm not going to write a job description telling you something different, because the truth is, like,
Everybody loses.
Yeah, you're not going to serve your clients well. You're not going to be happy, and it doesn't matter how much I pay you. You're basically going to be digging and filling a ditch all day, every day, and you're going to hate it. So it's really important to do this well, especially in family law, because it's emotionally taxing. Any family law attorney listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have lots of attorneys at our firm. They all know what I'm talking about. It's so important. And we didn't really appreciate this when we started. We hired people that were interesting and had great resumes, and we didn't press super hard on, are you really passionate about family law? Why? Tell me more. Tell me why that's important to you. All of those things. And as we did that, things got a lot better.
Yeah, I think what's really cool about this approach, Tony, is it actually acts as a filter, right? Like it's saying the uncomfortable thing up front, or showing the reality of the situation, so that the right people get excited and the wrong people immediately know, okay, this isn't for me, which is totally fine.
Yeah, I heard a quote one time. I don't know who it's from. Might have been just someone from our team. They said candor is kindness. And like this is one of the best places to do that. Like if you're not going to tell someone the truth and you're kind of going to like hide the dirty laundry, and then they're going to have to encounter it anyway, like that's I think a lot worse than being nice in the moment, um, and making them feel good about a potential opportunity. Like just tell them the truth. Like tell them all of the things that are going to be, here's the good parts, here's the things that are going to not be so great. Like they're not going to be as fun as you might think. Or they're not going to be fun. Like our best attorneys, they know people are going through the hardest parts of their life. Like this is one of the most traumatic seasons they're going to go through. They know that and they want to support them through that. That's what they're passionate about. And that's why they're successful and they have great client service scores.
100%. Any thoughts there, JP? Or should we move on to number two?
No, I think that feeds right into what success looks like in the role, which is that you need to be able to tell somebody in tangible terms what's the impact they're going to make. What does it look like for them to do this job well? So Tony talked about like having higher customer satisfaction scores, NPS, CSAT, something like that. Like being able to tell them, hey, if you're successful in this role, you will consistently achieve an NPS score north of 50. Right? If you're successful in this role, you will bill $750,000 or more a year. Like you need to be able to know what it looks like when the job is done well. That does two things. Number one, it signals to your candidates that you know what the impact is that they're going to have and they can tie themselves to that. And number two is you're going to track it. There's not going to be skating by. There's not going to be like, gee, I work really hard and I show up and I bring donuts and everybody likes me and I'm the life of the party. We're here to make something amazing and we're going to measure success. And you got to be able to tell them. If you can't tell them what good looks like, there's no way they're going to hit it. You're putting a blindfold on them, spinning them around the dark, and hoping they throw a dart and hit the right thing. And they're not going to. And so your ability to communicate, this is the KPI of the role, this is the success, go hit it, is going to be your ability to drive in A players. Because A players want to know what the mark is so they can exceed it. B players want to know what the mark is so they can hit it. C players hope there is no mark. That's who you'll get if you don't tell them the KPIs.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now. It said the exact same thing, JP. It said A players want a scoreboard because they want to go crush it. Like they want to know, hey, what's the course record? I'm going to go beat it.
Hey, family law firm leaders, my partner, Tony Carls, just released his book where he lays bare our precise blueprint for growing Sterling lawyers from 0 to 17 million. This is the blueprint that we still use daily. And Tony explains it in very simple terms. The truth is, this is not simple to do. Success requires and demands hard work, but if you have the patience and the work ethic to do it, your family law firm will succeed.
Yeah, JP, you mentioned two of the three that we talk about at Sterling. Third one is how well do you execute in the consultation room? It's like those are your three metrics. What's your close rate? How well are you collecting, and how well are you serving your clients ultimately after the matter is closed? Well, how are they scoring you? So, and those things are very clear. We set standards, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. Now our team now crushes them, especially all the A players. On average, we're way above our original targets, which is awesome to see. It's because we attracted the right people and we put in the right programs and supported the team in the right way. So it's awesome to see the results come in. It's super fun to be working with all the people that are passionate about it and want to achieve them at the same time.
Yeah, I think this is really important, right? Like high performers want to know where we're going, right? They want to like what's our North Star? They want to know what their scoreboard is, like how am I going to be measured on success? But they don't necessarily want to be micromanaged. They don't want to be told how to get there. They want to figure that out, right? And so by providing a framework of this is where we're going, this is how you're going to be measured, and then allowing them to find success in that role has got to be paramount. Okay, so as it relates to then moving forward here, and we're going to talk through key responsibilities, right? So that's a little more in the weeds, a little more, this is what your day to day looks like.
Yeah. So this is basically like saying, hey, what we expect you to be doing is X. These are some of the responsibilities of the role. This is more important if you're in a situation where maybe it's not as obvious where the lines are. And so from one firm to another, are the expectations the same of, what the paralegal is going to handle versus what the legal assistant's going to handle? And so like where you draw your lines and being clear on that. So again, just sets the expectation for a new team member coming in, for a candidate to say like, hey, is this actually the role that I want? And again, it shows your ability to be organized, prepared, and know what good looks like in the seat. I would tie this key responsibilities, what you expect them to do, with competencies, which is the next item, which is what skills you expect them to bring to the table. So a good way to think about this is what you'll do and what you've done in the past. And so in order for you to handle these key areas of responsibility, for you to manage, to execute, to support, to collaborate in these areas, we expect you to bring these skills to the table. We expect you to bring strong communication, organization, attention to detail, 3 to 5 years experience with, this type of work. And so you can say, because we need you to do this, we need you to be good at this on day one. We're not going to teach you this, grow you in this. You have to show up. Batteries have to come included for you to run this process with us. So I would kind of put those two things together. They are separate, two separate sections, but sometimes you'll see in job descriptions these kind of get blended together of like, we want you to run this. Also, have you done this in the past? And it's like you need to pull those apart. They're related, but you need to talk about both with potential candidates.
I was going to say I would get as specific as you can on these two, because especially on the competency side, if you want to see like, do they have technical skills? Like, this is going to help with your interview process, because you really want to know, like, have they done and executed a trial before? Have they deposed someone before? Have they delegated legal work in the past? Like, what have they actually done? And you can create questions on all of these things, because anybody in an interview can say yes, but if you like ask them the steps, like, what steps do you take to do this, and then they do the big, I don't know. You now know that maybe you're not hiring a senior associate, you're hiring maybe a junior associate who's just very good at talking. Because we've encountered that a ton at Sterling, and the more time we spent in like really laddering our attorney competencies, the better we got at actually interviewing our team.
Tony, is we're thinking about the fact that you've hired a lot of attorneys in your day. What do you see? What advice can you give our attorney owners here as they're thinking about expanding their firm and having to do recruiting? Like, what does a great associate or a great attorney look like on paper?
Um, I guess what I would say for the answer for Sterling might be different than an hourly firm. So we're all fixed fee, so we have to hire a little differently. Which is really, really hard to train an hourly attorney to be a fixed fee attorney. So it's probably a different answer. Generally, the things that we've done to be successful at interviewing is it's not just one person doing the interview. We typically take our time. It doesn't go fast. We don't meet them once and hire them. They're gonna do multiple rounds of interview. The last one should be in person. You should spend some time with them before you make them an offer. You want to know if this is going to be a good investment, because they're going to be directly associated with your license and your reputation in the marketplace, especially if your name's on the door. So take your time. That's what as we did that better and stopped hiring fast, hire slow, fire fast. We saw much different results because we got different perspectives from our team. And they all asked different types of questions. Like I said, we really worked on our competencies to ask very specific questions about their experience in different legal circumstances, through procedure or through negotiations or whatever that might look like. So there are, leveraging your team, I think, is important. Taking your time, I think, is important. Because it's the thing that I found hiring anybody is it's really hard for someone to keep a mask on for a long time. They will break at some point, and then you'll see them, and that's what you're looking for, or you'll just see them the whole time because they're not trying to wear a mask, and like those are the people that you're looking for.
Yeah, great point. I mean, being able to set the right expectations on the front end so that there's no like gotchas, or they think that they're going to get something that isn't real life, and then being able to have them have a clear understanding of what it's going to look like to work with you together is going to create a nice long-term relationship. Anything we're missing there, JP, on kind of like what the ideal candidate looks like?
No, but I think the more clear you are on understanding that, that's actually one of the things where, if we go back to kind of to the early part of the call where Tiny called out like culturally this thing that like, we've identified in the market that we need to describe from a value standpoint. We need to describe up front who is going to be successful here. And if we don't do that, we get people in who we, quite frankly, we set them up for failure because we don't tell them up front that the bar is here. And if we had told them, they might have opted out. But instead, they sign up, they waste their time. They could have been pursuing positions that were better fits for them. And we waste our time with somebody who, 60 to 90 days in, we have to go, hey, this isn't working. Whereas if we'd just been upfront at the beginning and said, this is the standard, this is the bar, this is what you need to be, it would have been better for everybody. So again, back to Tony's candor is kindness comment, it's like, you will lose some applicants. You will push some people away, and that means that you've done it right. If you've described your ideal candidate, you should have better throughput, better match, and just lower volume on the front end. So if you feel like, hey man, I feel like I took your advice, I updated everything, and now I'm getting less applicants, that probably means it's working.
Yeah. In this ideal candidate section, like this should be like literally a section that you write, and like you should describe what you're looking for, but also very much describe like what this candidate doesn't look like as well. Don't just do the positive, also do the negative, because you can just juxtapose those things and it like becomes really clear, like, oh, I'm not someone that's super responsive and wants to ensure my clients, have a response within 24 hours. Like that's going to annoy me. I don't want to do that. Or, I just think the more you can be both give the positive and the negative side of that, the better it'll be. I think Christy Cremaford, I think this comes from her and her book Smart Tribes that we did a study on at one point, and she literally went through in a workshop exactly how she writes this section, and it's really important to do it. And as we've implemented that, we've seen very positive results as a result.
Yeah, I think having this is what a good employee or a good hire or a good fit looks like, and then this is if this is you may not be the right fit. And defining that so that everyone who reads it can find themselves in one of those two buckets and then self-select in or out.
Yeah, like you mentioned JP outcomes, NPS being one of them. If in this section, what I would write if that was something that you were considering doing, I would literally write, we are going to measure your outcome based on your client satisfaction, not based on your legal arguments. That's how we're going to see you as an attorney here. Because we know that we get paid by our clients, not by the court system. So like that's going to rub some attorneys the wrong way, and it's going to excite other attorneys. And like that's the point. You're trying to create that like, oh, that's not me. Oh, that's me. I love that. Oh yeah, I love that. This is how all law firms should be. So that's really what you're trying to do. I think it's super important to do this.
Well said. And you normally don't hire someone that stays in their role for their entire life, right? People need to understand their growth path. Talk to us about that, JP.
Yeah, I'd say there's kind of two manifestations of this that I've seen that both work really well. And one is very short term and one is long term. So the first one in the short term is saying like, what will the first 30, 60, 90 days look like? What will the first 6 months look like? Literally tell them, hey, if you come on and you do well within 30 days, you're doing this. Within 60 days, you're doing this. Within 90 days, you're doing this. That does a couple of things. Number one, again, goes back to we're going to measure. We're going to be clear on what we expect. We're going to inspect what we expect. We're going to be watching you. You're not just going to get to skate by. This is not an organization where we have 10 million people and you can just slide under the radar and punch a clock, punch in, punch out. Like we're going to be watching you. So it sends a clear message that you know what you're looking for. Number two, one of the worst experiences a new hire can have is that they come in and no one seems to know what they're supposed to do, because immediately it creates panic in them of like, oh no, I don't know where to go next. And so by telling them, I literally have a 90-day roadmap for you, it gives this sense of peace and calm of this organization knows what they're doing. This firm is on top of their game, and I'm going to be able to hit the ground running and be as successful as I want to be. And so that's like kind of the micro version of like your growth path, your success trajectory is saying, hey, this is exactly what it's going to look like for you to immediately ramp up and make an impact for us. The second version of this is saying, beyond this role, here's what people go on to do within our firm. And you can add additional, like if you got stories to tell here, proof, because everyone says, oh yeah, there's tons of opportunity here. And then you get in, you're like, ah, there was no opportunity. There's a ceiling right above me. I'm going to hit it in 20 minutes. Like this is not a good plan. And so if you want to give people like who are driven a path, tell them, hey, 30% of our folks move on to this position within 2 years. Right. We promote from within, and here's like, 60% of our, attorneys joined us and stayed with us for 5+ years. And it's like, whatever it is, whatever your story is, you can tell, show them that there is a path for them to build their career inside of your firm while growing your firm, and you get to mutually benefit each other. If you can't do that, giving the like, here's what we would hope to see over the next 5 years is fine, but the more proof you can put behind it, the better. Because there's lots of people who make promises. Unfortunately, we're used to being disappointed a lot, and so you get to be a standout in the market just by being able to say, like, look, we can back up what we say, and so like you should come join us because you're going to win, and there's a path for you here.
Yeah, Tony, do you find that that's difficult for attorneys because sometimes they're not like junior attorney, senior attorney, director attorney. There's not the normal kind of ladder that you see in business.
I would say there is. You have to be intentional about it. It's somewhat less obvious or less. It exists less in the family law space because the family law space is a lot more fragmented and smaller. But at larger firms, you're going to see that. And to become a larger firm, you're going to need to invest in that. And what I was going to follow up with JP's comments is like, what really becomes fun is as you can clearly articulate and gamify those things. And that's something we've been able to do over at Sterling under Rob and Esch and kind of the managing partners. They have competencies for all levels: junior associate, senior associate, partner, senior partner, and then up to managing partner. So there are things that need to be accomplished, and like when you can actually scorecard these things and I identify exactly, here are all the 20 things that we need to see you do with proficiency, and that will then enable you to get to this next place and then do it again. You get a lot of intentionality from the team, especially your A players that want to run, because they're looking for like, what are all the check boxes that I need to check? And they're looking for feedback and they're constantly getting it. And what you're going to see is a significantly enhanced production of development in your organization, because the team is now becoming intentional about it because they know exactly what good looks like. Okay, here's the 20 things I need to show that I can do. Perfect. I need some files so that I can show I can do these things. Managing partner, come watch me do this. I want to make sure that you know that I know how to do this thing. And it self perpetuates itself, and it's really powerful once you can get there.
Well said. So as we wrap this up, we want to put it all together. I think what we've established is that you have to be very intentional when putting together a job description. You have to use it as a filter to get the right people in who believe in your mission and vision and purpose, and push the wrong people out who don't align with what you're trying to achieve. Is there any final advice that we want to give our audience as we sign off for this episode?
I would say that the biggest thing is most people, when they're applying, don't read job postings because they're written in a way that is not approachable. And so I would make every effort to be as clear and use common language as much as possible in your job posting, to where like somebody reads it and feels like, oh, this feels like a story. It feels like they're talking to me. This feels like a conversation, because you want them to read every part of this. There's nothing like getting a candidate who applies, who gets into your interview process, who has gone through your posting, only that when you talk to them, it's like, you clearly did not read the 4 requirements we put in there. And so we cannot like move forward because this is not a fit. We're just wasting each other's time. And so like making the post easily accessible, like not trying to prove how smart you are, how clever you are, put all your stuff in about you, making it all about them and what they need to be. And making it, to Tony's point again, like that attract repel thing really helps with all the later stages of the interview process, the onboarding, all the pieces that come after this. And so the time and investment spent here pays off in multiplicative ways down the line. So take the time, make it approachable, make it readable, because you really want people to engage with it and for it to work for you.
Yeah, I would just add to that. Don't try to please everybody. Don't be a people pleaser with how you write your job description. Like, if you're doing it well, some people are going to be upset and some people are going to be really excited. That's how you know you've hit a home run. It's not like you're intentionally trying to poke people in the eye, but you're not trying to attract everybody. You're intentionally trying to repel some people, and you're trying to very much attract those that fit. When you do that well, you get the results you're looking for, instead of a lot of mediocre average, which is basically what you get if you're trying to be everything to everybody. You're nothing to everyone.
Well said. I love it, gents. I appreciate your time. Looking forward to the next one. If you found this episode insightful, you will love our next episode on overview of the basic hiring process. We're going to take it from top to bottom. We're going to give you the 10,000 foot view on how we do our hiring, not only at our law firm, but at our agency. I really think you're going to enjoy it.